This is the Garden Minute brought to you by Swedish Covenant Hospital. Okay, now we're going to learn how to plant seedlings. Now there's two different things that you need to learn: how to plant a tomato and how to plant everything else. It's very important that you recognize the difference. You're going to have some sad plants. So let's start with the tomato. This is my tomato plant. Now the trick about planting tomatoes is that you can plant them very deep because you'll have roots that want to grow along this stem, right? So I'm going to set him here. I'm going to start by digging a really, really deep hole. So I'm just going to put my extra soil over there, and I'm going to dig, 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 dig. Really far down. As far as I can get. And then I'm going to go ahead and take him out. And I'm going to just gently turn this over, and I'm going to squeeze the pot gently until he comes out. Now we might find that he's a little root bound. So root bound means again that the roots grow around in a circle. He's pretty good, but what I'm going to do just is gently pop that so those roots are nice and loose and they're going to grow out instead of in a circle. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put him in here, and you'll notice that he's very deep, right? So it looks like I'm going to be planting up to here, which is what we want to do. So I'm going to just pinch off these extra leaves that are going on here. Pinch those off. I'm going to take my soil, and I'm going to go ahead and just fill this hole in. See, and I'm burying that stem. That's what we want. We want that stem to be buried. Now what that's going to do, as I said, is it's going to create roots all along the stem of that tomato, and it's going to make it stronger and sturdier. I'm also going to, now that I have them in there, sort of do this to create a little depression at the base of the plant. See that little depression? So what that's going to do, when I water, that's going to get the water right in there. It's going to funnel that water to the base of this plant instead of letting it spread out. So that's the trick to planting tomatoes. Tomatoes are the only thing that are planted that way. I can't emphasize that enough. Let's plant something else. Now this is a pepper. So we're going to follow some similar steps, except with this, we're not going to plant as deep. We only want to go as deep as the root ball of the plant is tall. So that means if I take this plant out, and again, I'm just going to flip him over very gently. I'm going to flip him over very gently. I'm going to see if he's root bound. He's not too bad, but I am going to crack that a little bit. And then I want to gauge where the top of this plant's going to be. So I'm going to put a little soil back in here because I don't want to plant the stem of this like I did with the tomato. This guy needs to have the soil right where the top of the pot soil is. So what I'm going to do is just sort of fill that like that. See, I'm not planting up the roots, but I am going to go ahead and make that depression. So when we go ahead and water, it's going to funnel all of that water directly to the base of the plant. So that's the difference between planting a tomato and any other type of seedling. It's very important that you understand that tomatoes, you can plant up the stem, everything else, plant at the base of the root, the top of where the pot was. Real important. I want to show you one other trick. If you want to use an organic fertilizer, we do all organic in our gardens, but if you want to use an organic fertilizer when you plant, I'm going to plant another pepper and show you how you can do that. So I'm going to dig my hole, and remember we want that hole to not be any taller than the base of the plant, so I'm going to put a little bit more in there and just gauge that. But what I'm going to do is I have this is an organic granular fertilizer, and I'm just going to take a little bit of it, just a little pinch of that. And I'm just going to mix it into the bottom of the hole, right? We don't want that fertilizer touching the roots, but we do want the roots to grow into it. So again, I'm going to go just take this plant, pop that root ball, make sure that those roots are nice and free so they can grow out and be strong. And I'm going to put a little bit more in there. And that looks like about right. So I'm going to go ahead, plant that guy. Then I'm going to go ahead and make the depression that will allow that water to flow right to the base of the plant. And that's how you're going to want to use a granular fertilizer when you plant, if that's something that you want to do. This has been the Garden Minute. Special thanks to the Chicago Flower and Garden Show, Swedish Covenant Hospital, and Production One Media.